Welcome into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And first of all, happy belated birthday. Sunday, birthday on a game day. That's a risky way to see whether or not it's going to be a good or bad birthday, but I think this one turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I took it all the way to the wire. I think about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, they aged you more than 1 year.
I did. And but no, it was a great day, and so many well wishes and from so many people to thank, and then obviously the players singing happy birthday in the locker room was icing on the cake.
That is wonderful. And, you know, I know you are first and foremost a coach, so this was just a game. But at the same time, I know you appreciate football history, you appreciate the drama of the sport. So what was it like to be there and witness a moment that was, you know, Brady getting the record, him returning to Gillette, all of the stuff that is sort of the emotional side of it? What did it end up being like in there in the moment for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I wish we could have, you know, when you break a record like that, there should be maybe a little more celebration for it, but we were in the middle of a drive and we hadn't moved the ball very good. So it's like, hey, let's just keep going. And like Tom, just get the ball, let's get out of here and put a little something on the scoreboard. But no, it's when you put your name down in the first in the history of the NFL, and I don't care what it is,
yeah,
it's really special.
That's so true. And you had also talked about how you felt like that game was really only going to be an emotional thing, you know, for Brady, and we said maybe Gronk, but that ended up not being a part of it. But did you end up seeing the effect it had on the team overall of maybe them trying to win for Brady, or just even the bright lights of it being such a publicized Sunday night football game?
Yeah, I think Sunday night football, everything that went with it, there was a little more excitement. But I think when I'm looking at our preparation, it was more about we're not losing 2 in a row. This is just the next game up, and we had a tough road loss in LA, and there's no way we can lose 2 in a row and be where we want to be. So I think all those things were together, but the energy in the stadium was like it always is in Gillette, but it's even a little bit more because it was Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you guys, you outgained the Patriots 227 to 129 and had the turnover edge at half, but still we're losing. This is one of those games that some of the stats seemed very confusing about what was actually happening in the game. So what did you attribute to the fact that in so many metrics you guys were outperforming them offensively, but the scoreboard didn't reflect it?
Yeah, red zone offense. You know, we didn't score the normal touchdowns. We've been very, very proficient in the red zone, and they did a good job of dropping a bunch of people back there. We got to run it better down there. And we did later in the game. And then we missed that field goal. That was huge. And you don't miss field goals in that game and win it very often. You know, they could have been the deciding 3 for sure.
And I know that the red zone is an area you have been very proud of. You guys have had a lot of success in. And last week you talked about there was some mixed reactions to it. Of some of them were great, you know, the Chris Godwin touchdown, but then there were some missed opportunities as well. How much was maybe missing Gronk a part of it, or was it execution by who was out there? What were some of the factors of the red zone?
I think it was mostly execution of who was out there. And we didn't make a couple of throws, but our spacing wasn't very good either. We weren't winning one-on-ones. And our whole game plan is to win one-on-one. And the Patriots beat us. And
speaking of missing Gronk, where did that end up in terms of the game plan and how you guys tried to fulfill his spot? Because at some point it looked like maybe you guys thought he was going to be able to get out there, and then you learned midweek that that's not going to happen. So take us through that process of trying to figure out, all right, he's not going to be out here, how do we replace him, and how you felt like he handled that?
We've got very capable players in OJ and Cam, and I thought both of them played pretty solid. I think I'm not used to seeing Cam drop a ball, and that was big. I'm not used to seeing Mike drop a ball either. And those were big plays in the game for us. And then obviously, but OJ I thought played really good, you know, in the running game especially. And he was open a couple of times, we just didn't throw it to him.
And I'm glad you brought up that OJ played really well, because sometimes if he's just not getting in the stat column for catches, it can be easy to overlook the contributions he's making. And because he hasn't had a lot of that so far this season and coming off the injury, maybe fans are wondering, is he still okay? Is he part of the game plan? But, you know, tell everybody a little bit about how you guys have been wanting to use him, and therefore where you've seen him in coming off that injury.
Yeah, I think when you look at the running game, you know, everybody thinks it's just the offensive line, but you don't run the ball unless your tight ends can block. And our tight ends do a heck of a job of blocking, and that's where that was his role in this game. We had a couple of plays for him; they didn't materialize, but those running backs were running for really good yards because of the way they were blocking a tight end position.
And you mentioned a couple of those drop passes. How much was the rain a factor overall offensively? I know coaches always love to say both teams are dealing with it, it's just a thing, but I'm sure it does end up having an effect.
It can, but it shouldn't. I mean, with all the technology of gloves and everything today, I mean, they're tackier than ever, some of them, when they get wet. So, no, it's just a concentration and making plays. And we didn't make enough of them in this game offensively.
And speaking of concentration, I know penalties has been something you've been harping on already a lot this season. How did you feel like that went in this game? What were some of the acceptable versus unacceptable penalties in your mind?
Well, the biggest one was, start the second half. We hit that bomb to AB, and Donnie gets hands to the face. But somebody was supposed to be helping him on that play that didn't get the job done, and it would never happen. So we lose 40-yard play, big momentum play in the game, and he gets a penalty. But yeah, it's we got a false start when nobody moved. I never seen that before, but we got one. They jumped off sides, but we got the penalty. So it was, it's better than it was, but it still needs to get better than this.
And I know the run game has to be an area that made you a little happy after you've had Tom Brady as your leading rusher the week before, to see Leonard Fournette had the longest run of the whole year for the team and finished with 91 yards rushing, 47 receiving. That was his most yards from scrimmage in a regular season game since coming to the Buccaneers. So what worked so well for him, and do you think that this maybe is a turning point for you guys in the run game moving forward?
Yeah, I thought up front we blocked really, really well, and they continued to play double coverages and some kinds of two deep shells, and you have to be able to run the ball. I thought Rojo's run for the touchdown was outstanding and well blocked, but he made a couple of guys miss right there at the end. Like, both backs ran hard. When it looks like a bunch of mush and it's 2nd and 5, that's really good running football. And, so it's like we had a bunch of that last night.
And for you guys on targeting some of the other receivers, when Gronk was out, you mentioned that other guys were going to be able to be there and step up. And you had 3 guys go for over 50 yards receiving in a game that wasn't necessarily super pass friendly. So what did you think from guys like Mike and Chris and AB there?
I thought Chris played outstanding. He was really, really consistent. I'm not used to seeing AB not come up with that touchdown. It's one of the first times I've ever seen him not make that catch. And it was a tough one, but I'm used to seeing him make that catch. He got wide open a couple times deep, and Mike played solid. He had a good, guy on him playing man-to-man a lot with some help. But I thought all 3 of those guys played really, really well.
All right, well, we still have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, continuing to talk about that win over the Patriots, and later on we'll get into next week's game against Miami, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. You had mentioned the missed field goal that Succop had, but thank goodness he ended up coming through when it really mattered late in the game. He does not typically miss those. We said, rain shouldn't be a factor on offense. Was it a factor for the kicking game, or what do you think went wrong for him on the one he missed?
No, we just missed one. And we missed one, they missed one. Theirs was a little bit bigger than ours was. And but he came back and hit those big ones coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, what went through your mind those last few drives there on some of those decisions, going for AB in the end zone and then having to go for the field goal and then watching them drive and go for it? What was that like for you in some of those last decisions?
Yeah, that was really hard. I mean, there was a couple plays we had to make right there, and I thought it was a great ball by Tom. And the play before, AB put a double move on, he gets double hand jammed with no call, and it's like, okay, well, let's go right back to it because he's going to run by him again.
Yeah, take 2.
And he did, and we just didn't quite make the play to ice the game.
What went through your mind when you heard or saw the ball hit the upright in those moments? What's the emotion like there?
Was it going to get there? Was it going to get? Oh, it's there. And it's like, I have to tell a quick story. My brother-in-law, Tom Trimmer, we have the exact same birthday.
Oh, cool.
He died of cancer 5 years ago. I think he pushed it.
Yeah.
I think he pushed it.
So, crucial catch week in the NFL. I think that seems like a very good point.
I think he pushed it.
I love that. I love that for sure. And I know that you ended up going with Mickens over Darden in the return game. So just on the special team side of things, overall special teams outside of that missed field goal, what did you think? And what was part of that decision for the return game?
Yeah, experience. Those type of games, experience pays off. And I thought we protected extremely well. We covered really well. Our return game wasn't what it should have been. Could have been a little bit better. But overall, I thought it was kind of a wash in the special teams area. But I thought we really protected well and covered well. Our kickers can kick better.
Yeah, and Bradley Pinion, we had talked about a very uncharacteristic game for him last week with a couple punts he'd like to have back. And then I know that first kickoff ended up going out of bounds. Have you gotten a chance to see kind of what he has said about this last week or so? And what have you noticed from what's caused some of these very uncharacteristic things from him?
Yeah, again, it's just why? That's my only question. Why? Because you don't ever do this. Why'd you do it this time? So go get it corrected. And he kicked off pretty well the rest of the game. And the punts, the rain and the wind will affect your drop a little bit. But again, that's an excuse, and we got to kick better.
All right, well, we still have plenty more coming up here with head coach Bruce Arians talking about this win over the Patriots. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And I love how we bring in Richard Sherman. We go from him saying, yeah, I can't imagine I'm going to be playing this week, to then first tackle of the game made by number 5, Richard Sherman. So tell us a little bit about that process of the decision to bring him in and what you thought was going to be his role, and then realizing, oh man, this guy's about to have to contribute.
Yeah, I mean, as the week went on and Jamel Dean didn't get any better, it's like, okay, Sherm, you're up. And he was more than up to the task. And I can't give him a game ball, but I should give him some kind of ball for it. I mean, he came out, played 59 plays. I thought he played really, really well. He did have the one penalty, but that was okay. Needs some help. He's playing zone coverage. Some guys need to get underneath some of those in routes for him, but he did a heck of a job, as did Pierre. Pierre Desir came in, and I thought he played really well also. Yeah,
I mean, your poor secondary, just the walking wounded at this point. That it's one thing, we always know there will be injuries in football, but when they're so concentrated in a certain position group, what does this do to you guys to try to figure this all out? And how did you even try to get guys like Sherman and Desir ready? Because, I mean, when Carlton went down, those two guys coming in, neither of them had played a defensive snap in 2021. So what do you do to try to help them and get everybody ready?
Yeah, first credit goes to Jason Light and John Spytek and the pro scouts, Mac and everybody up there, because they're getting guys in that are smart and can play. And our job as coaches is to get them ready. Whether it's 3 days, 4 days, put a game plan together that they can execute and give us a chance to win. And I think our defensive coaches did a hell of a job of that.
And what did you see from Richard Sherman and his ability to be ready after just 3 days? Were there teammates helping him out and coaches? And what was the entire group effort like to try to get him ready and the progress you saw him make in just 3 short days?
Well, I've known Sherman for a long time. He's a very, very bright man and a very, very bright player. So it was just a matter of what's this check, what's that check. And he's so smart. I knew he'd have that part of it down. Now the stamina and everything else, I got to give him all the credit in the world. I mean, 59 snaps. Thank God it was raining and cool, because if it was hot, it probably would have got him. But he can't say enough about the job he did in this ball game.
Yeah, and now you get to that point in the game without your 3 starting corners of the season opener, and then you end up with Antoine Winfield being evaluated for a concussion and out as well. How do you see now even one more position that you're going to have to kind of move things around, and of where things could be for this next week, and how much more ready you guys will be to have that sort of patchwork secondary?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just getting Jordan back. He's just knocking the rust off. But he's going to be the healthy starter we got out there. But Mike Edwards has played a bunch. He'll be the other safety if Antoine can't get out of the protocol. And we'll just see a corner. Hopefully Jamel Dean is back. Richard did a great job. Pierre did a great job. Ross Cockrell's doing a heck of a job filling in at nickel. So, yeah, I mean, we basically have 5 new guys back there, or could. But our coaches will do a heck of a job of putting them in position to win.
It was sad that Antoine had to leave with that injury, because, man, what a game. Had the interception and the forced fumble. What did you see from him of why this was such a big game for the way he was able to produce, especially some of the turnovers?
Yeah, Devin got great pressure up the middle and forced the ball out. And again, we had good coverage. Ball gets tipped, and Twan's in the right spot for it. And then he has a great knack of tackling the football. And he put his shoulder pad right on the ball. Ball bounced out. Richard Sherman on the spot gets a fumble recover, and that was a big play in the game.
I have to imagine if you could have asked for one thing for your birthday, it would have been pressure on a quarterback. Does that seem about right?
Yeah, that and a win.
Well, yes, of course, yes.
That led to the win.
Yes, one leads to they're a joint present here. And so that was something you had said you were so frustrated with in last week's game was the lack of that. I think the team heard you. It seemed like were you pretty pleased with the turnaround in that area this game?
Yeah, I thought we made great improvement, getting the turnovers. We protected the ball offensively, took the ball away. So we got I think a +3 margin there. Sacks, pressures on the quarterback. They gave us a lot of two-back sets, max protection stuff, but our guys were still getting home.
Yeah, tell us about those sacks in particular. We got Joe Tryon Chouinka's first and then second career sacks. You got Vita just basically bulldozing a path for him. So tell us about. Vita should get at least half a sack for that one because he took the guard and the tackle and just blew him back, and Joe just ran a quick twist, and he's so fast. He was on quick. Shaq got a nice, really good push, and we got a sack. Will got a sack. I mean, guys were just penetrating. Levante had one and just missed it. We missed actually 4 sacks, but I love the pressure moving him around in the pocket. And how close was JPP to being able to play? And how did you guys feel like you ended up being able to work around him not being available as the Rams game to this game and what you learned about trying to sub in for a guy like JPP?
Well, you miss his energy. That's the big thing. You miss that energy and that enthusiasm all the time, plus the football player. Got our fingers crossed he possibly could be back this week. We'll see how he does on the practice field with that shoulder.
All right, well, we still have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We're going to get a little bit into that next game against the Dolphins. We'll be right back. It's time for our final segment here on the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians back home after a couple games on the road. I'm sure that's got to be kind of a nice feeling after talking about these were the first games that this offense has had to deal with the loud crowd noise. Did you feel like they handled it better this game against the Patriots than the last one, but still maybe excited to get home a little bit?
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, sleep in our own beds and get some rest. But yeah, we did a great job of communicating in this game. Ryan Jensen, Tom Brady, everybody, the crowd, and it was nice and loud. It was a great crowd, but we did a way better job of handling the noise that way this week than we did last week in LA.
And facing a Dolphins team that is, it seems like not going to be led by Tua, that's a very big change for what their offense could look like, I'm sure. So how does that change what you guys think you might be preparing for or wanting to try on a defensive side of things?
Yeah, I played against Jacoby Brissett before when he was in Indianapolis. He's a heck of a quarterback, and he's a little more mobile than people are getting credit for. And he can hurt you, but he's got a big time arm, and he'll be a heck of a challenge with all the things they're doing schematically, offensively for the Dolphins.
What are the biggest things that you feel like you want to see from your team this week that now you got several games under your belt at this point, offensive and defensively? Give me one thing on each side of the ball that this Sunday you're going to be really focusing on and harping on.
Elimination of penalties, number one. Good job of taking it away and protecting it. Continued growth there. And let's get back to scoring in the red zone, scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals.
Yes, that seems like a good plan. And I know that from the pressure standpoint, how does the idea of Tua versus Jacoby Brissett change what you might be able to accomplish to continue that pressure moving forward? Because I know that's something that seems like they kind of come in bunches and you want to keep that momentum going. Yeah,
they're both pretty much pocket quarterbacks like Mac Jones. Jacoby may be a little bit more mobile, but they'll be sitting back there where we know where they're at. They do a lot of read option stuff, but we have to stay aggressive, and I think I like our chances of getting to the quarterback.
And with the penalties, what is the largest thing that you feel like will need to change? Is it the pre-snap ones? Is it post-snap? What are the things that you feel like you're most concerned about there?
As mostly we did a good job of eliminating most pre-snap penalties. We had one called that really wasn't a penalty, but eliminating those and post-snap penalties are going to happen. Football's football, and I thought Carlton made a great play on that ball down there. He got called for a flag. I thought, not Winfield, but I thought Jordan came flying up there for the interception. The ball's 5 yards behind him, and he gets called. Those things happen, but those weren't like mental errors.
Right.
They're just physically playing hard. Those are happening. I'll accept those.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck this Sunday against the Dolphins, Coach. And again, happy birthday. Congrats on that birthday win. And thanks to all of you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.